Can the SIG P226 Mark 25 still compete with today's modern day striker fire pistols and the modern day 2011s? I personally think that it can. And the reason I say that is because I started out my career as a law enforcement officer carrying a SIG P226. But what makes the SIG 226 Mark 25 special? Starting out with the internals of this pistol are coated. They are phosphated, and that is in order to help it against salt water or any type of impervious environments like that. The next thing that they do with this pistol that's different is no, it's not just because they put a barcode on it, not because it's got the anchor on here, but what they do is they take the barrel and it's actually chrome lined, which is very, very different than almost any of the other handguns that you see out there. It's a very popular process for your ARs, but to have it on a handgun is very different. And what I will say is that on cleanup or your barrel ramp and everything like that, it provides a very slick surface, but also helps it against corrosion. So those two things ultimately are what really make this different. With the SIG 226 in general, is that this pistol is a double action, single action firearm, meaning that, to activate the first pull, it's a very long pull if you actually use the decocker. And so when you do that, you could drop the hammer using a decocker. It doesn't actually drop it on the striker itself. Again, long pull. And then when the slide goes back, it cocks the hammer. So then your second pull is always gonna be light. So the first one's very heavy, then your second one's usually around 4 pounds. That system like that is a very, very safe operation in a holster or duty type setting because the first pull ultimately is so deliberate. For the average user though, that's a very, very hard thing to get over because it takes a lot of practice to actually get through that heavy first trigger pull. Again, myself, I have, let's say 10,000 rounds through a double action type system. So to pull it and shoot through it like that, all you really do at the end of the day is just pull all the way through. And I don't really like the word surprised by it, but ultimately that's what you're doing. You're pulling all the way through on your first pull until the hammer falls and keeping your sights aligned ultimately and still maintaining your target focus. So it's not the easiest system to shoot. However, these are very, very accurate handguns. The 226 to date for me is probably one of the most accurate handguns I have ever shot. This model itself has the E2 grips on it, which anybody that, in my opinion, that tries to tell me that the standard 226 grips on there, so 226 across there are better than the E2 grips, is just nuts because these feel way better. These feel modern, they're aggressive, they're stippled, and they just feel good in general as far as that goes. The 226 platform is built really, really well. Obviously all steel frame on there. You get steel magazines. These ones here are made in USA, and that's the difference you get with the Mark 25 in general, is that they have to have made in USA parts on there, so your mags are not Metgar with these. These are SIG ones, but they're only 15 rounds. Metgar does make an 18 round magazine that you can put in here, and it's flush fit just like these. And you can obviously also get an extended one on here that holds 20 rounds. So let's say you give it a negative or a flaw on there because they're 15 rounds, you can't do that because you could just easily get 18 rounds that fit flush and then compete with all your other ones out there. What you get, what most people don't realize with pistols like these or your steel frame or your alloy type ones like that, is that the weight overall, so your recoil impulse as you're shooting them, they shoot really, really flat and they're easy to shoot. They're very forgiving in that respect. But what you also don't have with these ones, and in particular 226, is it has a very high bore axis, but that weight helps you shoot it. So you can shoot these quick, you can shoot it fast. The trigger pull after that first shot is a nice one. And then finally on this pistol, and this model here in particular, it has a 3-dot type setting on here for your sights, but it's also lit up with tritium lamps in both your front sight and your rear sight. So overall, this pistol is a heck of a duty pistol. It obviously proved itself over tons of years of service with the SEALs as a duty weapon, a combat weapon. And the reason they went with these, because this pistol in general was preferred for the SEALs over your M9. And for myself, it's a love relationship because I started out carrying a pistol as a 226. I just flat out love these things. I can't say enough good things about them. At times, do I think they're completely up to snuff with some of your, like a staccato? No, they're not. Those guns shoot like race guns. But they're built for duty usage. Do they shoot like my shadow systems that I love? No, they don't. But this is a different type of shooting experience that you can't get enough of. And I think that if you're somebody who's a collector, the Mark 25 truly is for you. If you're somebody that wants to shoot them, it's for you also. These guns are hardened use guns that shoot flat out awesome.
Are you looking for an earbud that can drown out those whiny kids and drown out that nagging wife who wants you to load the dishwasher, but also be your favorite earbud on the range when you're shooting your favorite firearm? Grab yourself a set of GS Extreme 2.0s, and why don't you save yourself some money? Click the link in the description, and that'll save you 15% off on your next earbud purchase. Now back to the video.
With any of the 226 variants, this one obviously being the Mark 25 one, you have a double action pull with it, and double action, obviously when you cock it back, the slide goes back, cocks the hammer, you can decock it. So your very first pull is very, very heavy, and usually on these pistols are like between 8 to 10 pounds. It's a very long pull. There's no, let's say, break per se when you're pulling that double action style like that. You just have to roll the trigger all the way back until, the best way I can tell you, and I hate the term, is surprises you ultimately. And that's almost the beauty of these pistols, that they're ultra safe in that double action style like that. And obviously the hammer locked, the trigger pull is light. It's 4 pounds or less. Good reset and stuff like this. There's usually quite a bit of take up with them as far as reset if you let it go all the way out. But overall, these are usually super accurate pistols. And for myself, what you'll see there is the 226 in general, and especially the E2 grips, because they let you get a little bit higher on there, is that when you, with your slide release or slide stop there, I have a tendency, you'll see with my grip, I'll show you, that in there, as I get really high on there, because you should have a high grip in general, but as I get high, you'll see it literally rides right on there. And that's just practice. If you get your hand to cant over that thumb a little bit more, it won't get on there. And you could solve it, but you just got to practice that. In general, making the claim with these 226s that they have a place in the world, even with the new modern striker fire pistols, which are much more forgiving on the trigger pull. I want to demonstrate for you guys a couple times here on headshots out of the holster and actually breaking that shot with a double action pull, and how it's heavy and how you have to roll all the way through. And that coming out of the holster, you could be extremely accurate with them, but they just take more work. Drop the hammer again. Okay. The biggest thing you'll see here is I have this one that landed outside. That's my poor shooting, frankly. But the rest of them here you'll see on the target in general is that as you're breaking the shot, it's just important that you have to maintain your sight alignment all the way through that trigger pull, and it's in a way you have to almost power through it, but also maintaining it. So it's a fine line between, say, finesse and power on that trigger pull to stay accurate with a double action pull and as heavy as they can be, because these pistols in general, the 226 is a very, very accurate gun, and you know, you can't really go wrong with them. Are they up to snuff with some of the other ones? I don't know. Like I said, they have a place in the world today still. It's just that modern striker fire pistols have so much innovation coming out that sometimes these get left behind. It's really hard, you know, like with that's 5, 5, and 5 with 2 drills there. Ultimately, I threw that one there, but I mean, no, it's not far, but you know, defensive range is what we're shooting there. Those aren't far ranges in general. I mean, you look at law enforcement encounters, you look at self-defense encounters, they're always short. You know, in this pistol, the safety you have, what I like about it for, let's say, even a novice type shooter, the safety of that long, heavy trigger pull is so deliberate, you can't screw it up. And I think that that's where these pistols really have a place, is if a novice shooter who practice or law enforcement officer, they really do have a place still, in my opinion. And you know, you can't go wrong with them. This pistol itself, the 226, especially the Mark 25, is duty and battle proven, and I don't think you can go wrong with it. So if you guys are in the market for one, or if you're looking for a sweet double action pistol, get you a SIG Mark 25.